It is the Sports Fix here on Flow FM, your Wednesday evening edition, and it's time now to throw it over to Ellis Gelios, who has Eddie Dads with him for the Weird World of Sports.
Thank you, Jace. You're listening to the Sports Fix, and joining me now on the line, reporting in here to the Sports Fix for his Weird World of Sports segment, is Eddie Dads. Dadsy, great to get you on. It's been another big week of sport. How are you travelling?
Hello, Alice. Great to be on again. Yeah, just sports going on all the time, all over the world. I'm struggling to keep up with all of it, to be honest. There's just so much. But yeah, for someone who's into it like me, it's like Christmas at the moment.
Love it. First, we're heading over to the far north end of England, let's say, in Newcastle, where we saw in the last year the big, long-awaited purchase of Newcastle United by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. This had been in the works for a number of years, Dadsy, as you'll note, but discussions continually breaking down between Mike Ashley, or as the Newcastle fans like to call him, Mike Cashley, and the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. Finally, those loose ends were tied up last year. The club now being owned effectively by the Saudi Arabian state. It means that Newcastle United are the wealthiest club in world football, but the controversy has certainly been building up with regards to what the connections are to Saudi Arabia directly between the club and the state, and I guess those human rights violations that come into play too. But something that's really spruiked all this in recent times is the unveiling of Newcastle United's new away kit for the upcoming season. Effectively, this is a green and white kit, which basically embodies the flag and national colours of Saudi Arabia, Dadsy, and safe to say that it hasn't gone down all too well.
It's a very interesting one, isn't it, Ellis? Yeah, you're right. The new kit that's leaked overnight or over the last couple of days, primarily white with a bit of green writing on the front. Those soccer watchers out there will note that's very similar to the Saudi Arabian national team. And as you said, the investment fund of Saudi Arabia owns 80% of Newcastle now, which makes them one of the wealthiest clubs in the Premier League, and it's going to make them extremely competitive. You'd think. I saw the other day they've been chasing some French player for £32 million or something in his asking price. Sven Botman is from Lille. So they've got a bit of money to splash around, don't they, Newcastle? It's one of those ones, if you're a supporter, I think you'd be a bit conflicted. Wouldn't you? On the one hand, you've got this quite controversial purchase of the club. On the other hand, you're almost guaranteed success in the form of, Manchester City, who had something similar happen to them. Where do you sit? Would you be happy as a Newcastle fan with what's going on at the moment?
Well, when I observed how it was all going down when the ownership was confirmed last year, basically I didn't get the feeling that the core Newcastle fans cared at all. They were over the moon, shall we say. We were seeing fans, dressing up as sheiks, and we actually got, government officials coming out and saying, please don't do this because it's insensitive, etc. So I feel from that point of view that the fans are, they couldn't care less, really. I mean, if this makes them in charge of a transfer kitty that's beyond their wildest dreams, then why would you care? But I'm more sort of flabbergasted by the fact that when this was first announced, the ownership, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia came out and basically said there's going to be no connections directly between Saudi Arabia and the club. We're purely just offshore investors, as are any other football owners within the English football pyramid. Yet we're now getting this one season the first full season of the ownership, we're getting an away kit, which, as you said before, looks exactly like the Saudi Arabian national team kit, Dadsy. So the PR spin, it could have been a bit better here, couldn't it?
I know, Ellis. I know exactly what you're getting at. And I think at this point, they probably don't really care what other people think. They're going for it. As I was looking up before, the investment fund has apparently around $620 billion to play with. So they're not short of money in any respect. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the LIV Golf Tour as well, which is taking off at the moment. I mean, they're offering guys like Brooks Koepka $150 million to play in this thing. Phil Mickelson's earning apparently $200 million to play it. So, money is not an object. I think they're kind of thinking, in 10 years' time, when all this has died down, no one will really know or care who owns these clubs and these leagues. And in the meantime, they've managed to get some of the world's biggest stars associated with Saudi Arabia, which is obviously going to be good for their image and good for the country. We can debate till the cows come home whether or not that's a good idea or not. I don't really know where I sit with it, but ultimately it's happening. and we're going to have to deal with it, aren't we?
And just to address what you said before there about the transfer side of things, now that there's all this money available, the difference, I guess, between Newcastle United now and Manchester City back in 2008 is financial fair play. Now, navigating FFP rules are becoming harder and harder to do as a club. So Newcastle have interestingly come out in the last few days as well, just to address the direction the club's going with regards to its transfer shortlist for the upcoming season, effectively lowering the fans' expectations quite drastically. But you've got some insiders that are coming out and saying this is all actually just a classic tactic to basically put on notice other rival clubs that they can't demand anything they want out of Newcastle just because they are now one of the wealthiest clubs in world football. So how do you see this sort of panning out?
I think at the end of the day, money is going to be no object to them. And I know that you mentioned the financial fair play rules. I think it's fair to say that relatively toothless overall. Is that a fair assessment of them?
I mean, it depends. You could look at Manchester City, the fact that they managed to get that ruling overturned, which was going to bar them from Champions League participation based on breaking financial fair play. Now you'll say the Champions League is ultimately the biggest nugget, and if Man City were able to break those rules, if I can say loosely, and still have that ban overturned, then I guess they are toothless, Dadsy.
Yeah, I think ultimately money's going to talk in this situation, Alison. If they want to buy players, if they want to get the best players, I think they're going to be able to find a way to do it. It's kind of a Newcastle, one of the grand old clubs in English football, and it is in one respect, purely in a vacuum, without looking at the context around it. It's kind of exciting to see them back up and about, and I'm happy for their fans who are going to have a competitive football club again. That's kind of exciting. If I was a Newcastle fan, yes, I can see a world in which I'd be happy with what's going on.
Dare say, though, as a gunner who's been trying to break that top four for a few seasons, maybe you're not over the moon exactly.
You had to bring that up.
But
you had to bring that up, didn't you?
Well, it's all very weird, though, Dadsy, and what's even weirder is hearing that Serena Williams, on her comeback, and I'll just have to spruik here as well, the fact that tennis is a part of your background, Dadsy. You were quite the tennis player back in the day. I find this quite staggering. Serena Williams on her comeback, losing to the unseeded French player Harmony Tan. Now, you'll be across this, Dadsy. What on earth's gone on here? It's
pretty simple, actually, Ellis. Serena Williams is 40 years of age. She's had kids. She's been in the game a long time. She's done incredible things. She's arguably the GOAT of tennis as a sport. She's done amazing things, and she's just getting to the end of the road, unfortunately. Every player gets to that point where their body just won't quite do what they want it to anymore. She played on centre court overnight and was beaten by Harmony Tan, who I don't think many people would have heard of. I certainly hadn't before she won last night. I think this is probably getting really close to the end of the road for Serena, and she's had one of the great careers of sport in all time, in any sport. She's been one of the most incredible athletes we've ever had. I think it's probably at this point, she's in it purely for competitive purposes. She definitely doesn't need the money, and she's just a warrior. So it's going to be a sad day to see her hang up the racket and not play anymore, and I think that's where we're headed fairly shortly, I would say.
Well, to summarise, I think when you get a Hollywood film made about you, you're pretty much in retirement already. She's not in retirement yet, so that goes to speak at pretty big levels. Dadsy, scplaybook.com.au, have you picked up a pen in the last few days after the Eagles' win over the Bombers last Friday night?
I was waiting. I'm surprised it took you this long to bring it up. No, I haven't. I've been a little worried sick by the Bombers. They're doing my head in a little bit, Ellis. Lots of good stuff going on at scplaybook.com.au. It's reaching the crunch time of the year for Supercoach players and fantasy players out there in the NRL and the AFL. I've got a stack of good contributors on there, podcasts coming out every week. If you're interested in your Supercoach, do jump across and have a look because, we're pumping out some pretty good stuff, if I can say so myself.
One of our most terrific talents on the air here, Eddie Dads from scplaybook.com.au. Dadsy, great to check in with you again. We'll do it all next week. Eddie Dads reporting in for his Weird World of Sports. Take care of yourself, Dadsy.
Thanks, Ellis. See you soon, mate.
Ellis Gillius and Eddie Dads, there it is, the Sports Fix here on Flow FM. Coming up in just a tick, we'll have a look at what's been going on in Barossa Light and Gawler football with Rick Drewer. That's next.